This is a story that challenges everything you believe about justice, faith, and second chances. Jennifer Walsh spent 6 years living a nightmare, and when only a few hours remained before the end, she made a request no one could have imagined. Prepare yourself to hear one of the most astonishing miracles of the Virgin Mary ever recorded inside a prison. A story that changed not only the life of a condemned woman, but forever transformed everyone who witnessed the impossible. But before we continue, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I would love to see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary are reaching. Do you know that constant noise that never stops? Metal doors slamming, voices echoing through the hallways, heavy footsteps of guards making their rounds, occasional screams, suppressed cries, the irritating hum of fluorescent lights that never fully turn off. Jennifer Walsh knew these sounds very well. 6 years hearing them. 6 years in which every day was exactly the same as the one before, except for one thing: the countdown that grew smaller inside her mind. 38 years old, former nurse, imprisoned since March of 2018. You know that kind of person you would never imagine ending up in a prison. The kind who had a normal life, a respectable job, a daughter in school. Jennifer was that person, until everything collapsed in a single night. The story began in a hospital in Chicago. Night shift on March 15, 2018. Jennifer had been working there for almost 10 years. She knew every hallway, every protocol, every procedure by heart. That night, a patient was under her care, 73 years old, wealthy, very influential family. Robert lost his life during Jennifer's shift. The medication was wrong. The records showed that Jennifer had been the last person to administer the drug. The hospital cameras had glitches exactly at that time, a coincidence the jury did not believe was a coincidence. "I didn't do this," Jennifer repeated hundreds of times during the trial, to her lawyer, to her sister, to her 12-year-old daughter, who cried, unable to understand why her mother was being taken away. "I didn't do this?" But no one believed her. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours. Guilty. The sentence, the maximum the state allowed. Jennifer was taken to the women's prison. She left behind a daughter, a life, a career, everything. In the first months, she still had hope, motions, appeals. Her lawyer worked tirelessly. "We're going to prove your innocence, Jennifer. We just need time." But time passed. 1 year, 2, 3. Each appeal denied. Each door closing. Each day Jennifer becoming harder, colder, more empty. Have you ever felt that? When hope simply ends? When you stop expecting things to get better because hoping hurts more than accepting? Jennifer stopped talking about being innocent. She stopped crying. She stopped feeling until the 6th year. It was an ordinary Tuesday in October 2024 when the guard came to get her. "Walsh, meeting room. Your attorney is here." Jennifer was taken to a small, isolated room, just a table, 2 chairs, and a guard outside the door. Her lawyer was sitting with that expression she already knew well. The expression of someone who is about to deliver bad news while trying to look professional. "Jennifer, we need to talk." He waited for her to sit. "The final appeal was denied," he said bluntly. "There is nothing more I can do legally." Jennifer nodded. She already expected it. She always expected it. "The date has been set, November 10th, 2 weeks from now." Ah, so that was it. 6 years waiting, and now there was a date. 2 weeks? Jennifer didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just looked at her own hands, hands that used to save lives, now condemned for supposedly taking one. "I understand," was all she said. The lawyer seemed to want to say something else, something comforting perhaps. But what do you say in a situation like that? He simply shook her hand and left. That night Jennifer stayed awake staring at the ceiling of her cell. 2 weeks, 14 days. What do you do with 14 days when you know they're the last ones? The answer came 3 days later, on a Saturday, visitation day. Jennifer hadn't received visitors in 2 years. Her sister had moved to another state with Jennifer's daughter, Emily. It was easier that way, starting over far away, without the shame, without the questions. That's why Jennifer wasn't expecting anyone when the guard came calling her. "Walsh, you have a visitor." Jennifer frowned. "There must be some mistake." "It's not a mistake. Room 3. Let's go." The visitation room had that characteristic smell of disinfectant and sweat. Metal tables, uncomfortable chairs, guards in the corners watching everything. And there, sitting at one of the tables, was Emily, 15 now. Hair longer than Jennifer remembered. Taller, more, grown. 6 years is a long time in a child's life. Jennifer sat down slowly, not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do with her hands. Emily looked at her with those brown eyes that were so much like her own. "Hi, Mom." 2 words. Simple. But they broke something inside Jennifer that had been cracked for years. "Emily," her voice came out hoarse. "What are you doing here?" "Aunt Linda told me about the date." Silence. "I needed to come." Jennifer wanted to look strong. She wanted to be the mother Emily deserved, even after everything. But the words came out with difficulty. "You didn't have to. It's a long trip." "Mom," Emily leaned forward, and Jennifer saw her eyes were red. She had cried. Probably a lot. "I know you didn't do it." Jennifer closed her eyes. "Emily, I always knew, from the beginning, you would never do something like that." "It doesn't matter anymore what I did or didn't do," Jennifer said, and she hated how dead her voice sounded. "It's too late." Emily opened the small purse she had brought. She took something out. A rosary, small, light blue glass beads, a simple silver crucifix. "I pray for you every day," Emily said, placing the rosary on the table. "Every day, Mom, to the Virgin Mary, asking her to protect you, to reveal the truth." Jennifer looked at the rosary as if it were something from another world. "Emily, I know you stopped believing in anything," Emily said, and her tears finally fell. "But I never stopped believing in you, and I never stopped believing that she's listening." She pushed the rosary across the table. "Take this, please, for me." Jennifer looked at her daughter, at the rosary, at the small hands that still trembled slightly, and then, for the first time in 6 years, Jennifer felt something she had buried so deep she barely remembered what it felt like. Love. Not the empty, distant kind you keep as a memory, but real love. Visceral. The kind that aches in your chest and tightens your throat. She picked up the rosary. The beads were cold to the touch. "All right," she whispered. "I'll take it." They talked for another 20 minutes, about small things, about Emily's school, about how she was learning to play the guitar, about the dog Aunt Linda had adopted. Normal things. Things normal people talk about. As if they were just a mother and daughter talking about life. As if they weren't counting down the last days. When the time was up and the guard announced the end of visitation, Emily stood. She hesitated. "Can I hug you?" Jennifer nodded, unable to speak. The hug lasted only seconds. They never allowed it to last long. But Jennifer felt every moment. She memorized the smell of Emily's hair, the texture of the hoodie she wore, the strength of those thin arms around her. "I love you, Mom," Emily whispered. "I love you, too." And then Emily was gone. Jennifer was taken back to her cell. She hid the rosary under the thin pillow, lay down, and stared at the ceiling. 2 weeks became 12 days, then 10, then 7. Jennifer never kept the rosary far away. She didn't pray, but she held the beads sometimes when the nights grew too long and the silence too heavy. Have you ever held something just because it reminded you of someone you love? Just because it made you feel less alone? That's how it was with the rosary. The days passed. Other inmates looked at Jennifer differently now. Everyone knew when someone was counting down their last days. There was a silent respect, a space given. Nobody talked about it directly, but everyone knew. 5 days left. 4. On the third day, Jennifer made a decision. She spoke with the guard in the morning. Donna, a woman in her 50s who had been working there for 15 years and had already seen a lot. "Donna," Jennifer called when she passed by the cell. "Yes?" I have a request." Donna stopped. She waited. "I know my time is almost up," Jennifer said, and she hated how her voice trembled. "And I know you allow a last request." "Within reason." "Yes, we do," Donna said gently. "What do you need?" Jennifer took a deep breath. I wanted to see the chapel, the image of the Virgin Mary that's there." Donna blinked, surprised. It was the first time anyone had asked for something like that. "You want to go to the chapel?" "Yes, just for a few minutes. I didn't ask for visits. I didn't ask for phone calls. Just this." Donna nodded slowly. "I'll speak to the warden, but I think it'll be allowed." 2 hours later, Donna returned. "Tomorrow, 9 in the morning, 15 minutes. Jennifer nodded, feeling something strange in her chest. It wasn't exactly hope. She had forgotten how to feel hope. But it was something. That night, Jennifer held the rosary for the first time with real intention. She didn't pray out loud. She no longer knew the right words, but her lips moved in whispers, saying things she didn't even know she was thinking. "I don't know if you're listening. I don't know if you exist, but Emily believes in you, and I just need peace." It was the most honest prayer Jennifer had ever made in her entire life. The next morning arrived cold, November in its worst mood. At exactly 9, Donna appeared. "Ready?" Jennifer nodded. They walked through the corridors. The chapel was small. 8 rows of simple wooden pews, a modest altar in the front, and behind the altar, on a stone base, a statue of the Virgin Mary. It wasn't large, maybe 1 meter tall. Made of hand-painted plaster, Mary with a blue mantle, hands extended, serene expression. It had been there for decades. The paint faded in some places, a few small cracks, but still beautiful. In that moment, to Jennifer, it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. 15 minutes, Donna said softly. "I'll be right outside if you need anything." The door closed. Jennifer was alone. She walked slowly to the first pew, sat down, looked at the image. She didn't know what to do. How do you pray after so long? How do you ask for anything when you had stopped asking years ago? So she just sat there, in silence, watching, the rosary beads between her fingers, their weight comforting in some way. "I don't know what to say," Jennifer finally whispered. "I don't know how to pray anymore. I don't know anything anymore." Her hands were trembling. Tears began to fall, silent, steady. "I'm not asking you to save me. I'm not asking for a miracle. I'm just asking, help me not be afraid." Jennifer lowered her head, closed her eyes, and for the first time in 6 years, she truly prayed. The 15 minutes passed far too quickly. Donna knocked gently on the door. Jennifer. Jennifer wiped her face, stood up, looked one last time at the image of the Virgin Mary. "Thank you," she whispered. She returned to the cell in silence. That night, the last night, Jennifer couldn't sleep. It wasn't fear, not anymore. There was a strange calm inside her now. As if something had settled in her chest during those 15 minutes in the chapel. It was 2 in the morning when it happened. Jennifer was lying down, staring at the ceiling, the rosary in her hands. Suddenly, the temperature in the cell changed. It didn't get cold. It became warm, a gentle, comforting warmth, like when you sit near a fireplace on a cold day, a warmth that embraces you. Jennifer sat up in bed, confused, and then she saw the light. It wasn't like the prison lights, those harsh, cold fluorescents. It was soft, golden, like candlelight, but brighter. It came from the corner of the cell. Jennifer blinked, rubbed her eyes. Surely she was dreaming. Surely exhaustion and fear were making her mind play tricks on her. But when she opened her eyes again, the light was still there, and inside the light, Jennifer stopped breathing. A woman, standing in the corner of the cell. Real, not a shadow, not an illusion. Long, white dress. Blue mantle over her shoulders. Face. Oh, that face. Jennifer had never seen so much kindness in a human face, so much peace, so much love. The woman didn't say anything. She just looked at Jennifer, and Jennifer understood, not with words. She was saying, "You are not alone." Jennifer couldn't move. She couldn't speak. She just stared. The woman extended her hands, not to touch. She didn't step closer. But the gesture was clear. It was welcome. It was invitation. It was love. Pure and unconditional. And then Jennifer felt it. A scent. Flowers, roses, intense, as if someone had filled the cell with hundreds of fresh roses. But there were no roses. No flowers. Only that woman, that light, that impossible scent. Jennifer began to cry. It was as if 6 years of pain, of anger, of emptiness were being washed away. As if someone had taken all the weight she carried and simply lifted it off her shoulders. The woman smiled. A smile so soft, so gentle, that Jennifer felt her heart warm in a way she hadn't felt since before all of this began. "Thank you, Virgin Mary," Jennifer whispered through her tears. "Thank you for coming." The light began to fade, gradually, until there was nothing left, but the warmth remained, and the scent of roses. Jennifer sat on the bed, trembling, the rosary clutched tightly between her fingers. She had seen something impossible, something she couldn't explain. But she had seen it. At 5 a.m, when the guard came for rounds, she stopped in front of Jennifer's cell. "Walsh, why does your cell smell like flowers?" Jennifer looked at her, said nothing, just a faint smile. The guard frowned, confused, but moved on. 7 a.m, breakfast time. Jennifer ate mechanically. The other inmates looked at her with pity, with respect, with sadness. But Jennifer was serene. There was something about her that no one could understand. A peace that made no sense considering what was about to happen. At 8 o'clock, they came to get her for the final preparations. Jennifer walked calmly. She answered the questions they asked. She signed the papers they put in front of her, all with that same inexplicable calm. 9 o'clock. Margaret Foster, a tough woman who had worked in the prison system for 25 years, was reviewing the final documents when her phone rang. "Director Foster," she listened. Her face changed. From professional to shocked. "When did this—" Yes, I understand. Stop everything. Stop everything. Immediately." She hung up and practically ran to where Jennifer was waiting. "Jennifer," she said, out of breath, "something happened." Jennifer looked at her calmly. A nurse from the hospital just came forward to the police department. Catherine Morris. She was on duty the night Robert passed away. Jennifer's heart began to beat faster. She confessed everything. She was the one who administered the wrong medication by mistake. She got scared and tampered with the records to blame you. She brought documents, evidence. Jennifer couldn't process the words. "Why?" was all she managed to ask. "Why confess now?" Margaret shook her head. She said that last night she had an emotional breakdown, that she couldn't live with the guilt any longer, that something made her realize she couldn't let you— She stopped. "Well?" She confessed everything. Last night. The same night as the apparition. Jennifer held the rosary in her pocket. "What does this mean?" "It means," Margaret said, and for the first time in her entire career, her voice faltered, "that your sentence will be suspended immediately. The case will be reopened. With the confession and the evidence she brought, you will be exonerated. It's a matter of time, a matter of days. But you are innocent, Jennifer. You always were." The world stopped. 6 years. And now, so close to the end, Jennifer collapsed. Her legs gave out, and she sat on the floor, holding the rosary, crying silently. Margaret knelt beside her. Jennifer, are you okay?" Jennifer nodded yes, unable to speak. In the 2 weeks that followed, the case was officially reopened. The judge reviewed Catherine Morris's confession and all the evidence she presented. The prosecution validated the documents. Hearings were held. And finally, 20 days after that morning, Jennifer walked through the gates as a free woman. Emily and Aunt Linda were waiting outside. When Emily saw Jennifer, she ran, without caring about anything, without hesitation. "Mom!" The hug was long, tight, real. "I knew it," Emily cried. "I knew she was going to save you." "I knew it." Jennifer held her daughter tightly. "You were right," Jennifer whispered. "You were always right." 3 months later, Jennifer was in a small house she had rented. Nothing luxurious, but it was hers. It was freedom. Emily spent the weekends with her. Little by little, they were rebuilding what they had lost. It wasn't easy. There were scars. There were difficult moments. There were nights when Jennifer woke up thinking she was still in the cell. But things were getting better, day by day, step by step. One Sunday afternoon, Jennifer was organizing some boxes when she found the blue rosary. She held it gently, ran her fingers over the glass beads. She thought of that night, the light, the woman, the smell of roses. She had never told anyone. Who would believe her? But she knew. Deep in her heart, she knew what had happened. On Monday, Jennifer had a job interview. A small community hospital was willing to give her a chance. It wouldn't be easy. There would be distrust. There would be questions. But she was ready, because she was no longer alone. Never again. 6 months later, on a Saturday morning, Jennifer was walking through the park with Emily. The day was beautiful, sun shining through the trees, children playing, families having picnics. Emily was excited, talking about a school project, when Jennifer suddenly stopped. There was a small wooden bench, and beside it a flower bed, roses, dozens of them, soft pink, blooming perfectly. Jennifer approached, leaned down, took a deep breath. That smell. "Mom?" Emily asked. "Are you okay?" Jennifer smiled. A tear ran down her face, but it was one of gratitude. "I'm fine, sweetheart. I'm more than fine." She gently touched one of the petals, whispered so softly not even Emily heard, "Thank you." And for a second, just 1 second, she felt that warmth again, that presence, that peace. And she knew she had never been alone, not in that cell, not in those 6 years, not now, and never would be. Because sometimes in our darkest moments, when we think everything is over and there's no way out, that's exactly when the light appears, not always in the way we expect, not always when we want, but always at the right moment. Before finishing, I want to invite you to become part of our prayer community for the Virgin Mary, a space of faith and hope where people from all over the world come together to pray and share the graces they have received. If you feel in your heart the desire to join this chain of prayer, click below and become a member of the channel today. Come and pray with us. And look, if you made it all the way here to the end of Jennifer's story, do something for me. Write in the comments, Blue Rosary, the object a daughter gave that changed everything. I want to see how many hearts this story truly reached. And every time I read Blue Rosary in the comments, I'll know that one more person believes that miracles of the Virgin Mary still happen. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Write in the comments about a miracle you have witnessed or experienced, and share this video with someone who needs to renew their hope today. May the Virgin Mary continue blessing and protecting you and your family. Amen.